Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today what we have to go over is some unfortunate news. We got to talk about some major layoffs. We're talking about more in the gaming industry. We're talking about Sony, or rather PlayStation enterprises themselves, laying off a good chunk across their division. So, with everything that's said and done, there's a lot to go over and why. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, what we got to go over is the big elephant in the room, the layoffs regarding PlayStation, its staff across multiple divisions, or at least a bunch of different studios rather, whether that be Guerrilla, whether that be London Studio completely closing down, whether that be everybody else that was affected, as well as, surprisingly, Insomniac Studios. That being said, I'm a man of my word. A lot of folks are out there, and the naysayers and the Xbox fanboys out there, we don't keep it even, we don't keep it straight, we don't talk about any of the negative news that PlayStation has. Well, like I've stated before, it's usually very far and few between when it comes to negative PlayStation news. Not to say that there isn't, but it's just few and far between. Now, getting to the meat of the matter here, we do need to speak about this because it is a big deal. And it is kind of a bad look if you've been paying attention, right? You have a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things contributing to this factor. Again, I'm not an analyst, but you can kind of put the puzzle pieces together here and you can see what's going on. This past year, they wanted this big old shift to games as a service, a big focal point, right? They kind of wanted to shift away to be like, these AAA first-party studios, those are going to be few and far between. However, these games as a service games is where we're going to make our bread and butter and our money at. That's what's going to keep us going as a business, and if we make these games as good as we want them to be, that's the direction they're heading. Now, a lot of folks, including myself, was not very optimistic about this and was not really looking forward to the games as a service type of genre and type of field when it comes to the gaming industry itself. Now, that being said, Helldivers 2 being a major success, I personally think that's just kind of a one-off. You're not going to capture that kind of, outbreak and success, so to speak. We can look as, again, not first party, but it is Square Enix, and they had not had the same success with their latest games as a service game being Foam Stars. We're also looking at a failure in the games as a service when we're talking about Rockstar Studios' Suicide Kill the Justice League, right? Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. You're going to have very few hits when it comes to the games as a service. We'll see what happens with Marathon. We'll see what happens with Concord. That's going to be releasing later, of course. Those not being stopped or canceled. But some of the unfortunate news that we got with these layoffs is we found out that it wasn't officially greenlit, but it was getting close to being greenlit, and that was a games as a service Twisted Metal game. Now, I do think that would have flourished very well under that category. I see that working out very well, and I think there's potential. So that really is a bummer, but not so much more as a bummer as, actual individuals losing their jobs. And again, this is attributed to the shift in the tonal atmosphere of games as a service. Now, this has changed again. I mean, they inflated a lot of money towards The Last of Us Factions that was supposed to come out and has been reworked multiple times, and other issues in between. So I feel like those are all contributing factors that led to this across the industry on the PlayStation side alone, and we'll get to the other stuff in just a moment. But you have stuff like this, and you can, again, attribute it to many different things. I mean, we hired, and when I say we, I mean the industry hired a lot more individuals, like tons of writers and tons of other categories of devs onto these, platforms and onto these new IPs or sequels to IPs or whatever the case is. And this is going to be some of that fallout too, right? You're cutting the cost as much as you can. The inflation has been a thing. AAA gaming is not going to be as, fruitful as it once was due to those rising costs. Now, I think there's ways to limit this and maybe find other ways to attack this. I'm talking about possibly less mocap, less technology in that aspect. Where can those cuts and costs come from? And then you unfortunately, just have every other outlying factor as well. So you would think that kind of COVID would have shifted things in a better way, getting folks outside of these leased buildings or bought buildings that Sony had intentionally done for these studios to increase that. You would think remote work would limit that. I mean, you're limiting the space, you're limiting the cost for resources with electricity, simple things like toilet paper, soap, other plumbing, water, foods, catering services. Maybe they had massage therapists on site for certain things. I mean, we don't know. I don't know. I'm not a fly on the wall, but there's a lot of these things that could be there that's affecting this. So they're going to cut it however, whenever. Now that bad luck to circle around is, Jim Ryan did retire. They had a retirement party not very long ago, just a few weeks ago, right? And then pictures with everybody. You can probably assume that Jim Ryan and company knew that they were going to cut jobs at multiple studios. So this is not a good look. Who knows how much money that they spent on this party? Again, I don't know. It could have been simple enough where it wasn't, it probably wasn't enough to where it's going to affect like, hey, we're going to be able to keep all these staff now because we didn't throw Jim Ryan a retirement party. Now, Jim Ryan has been there with the company for a number of years, like a ton of years. And again, I'm not defending that, but if we're looking at, and again, I'm not using layoffs as far as console war, but just as context here, and a lot of folks on social media like to bring up a post I made in regards to me stating about the Microsoft layoffs. And I said, well, did they not hire Sting for an event? Sting, yes, the singer, not the wrestler, Sting, to come over, serenade, sing, and have this lavish party with a bunch of high-up execs. That cost money through the roof. So I'm just calling that out. Apples to oranges, apples to apples, however you want to see that. And I just don't think that's right. Do I think that the retirement party was in great taste and having everybody there if they knew they were being let go? No, I don't. I think there's probably a different way to go about that. So again, I'm not defending that, but I'm also stating execs, corporations, everybody in between are not your best friends, no matter how you see it. You may love your job and your company, but what it boils down to is that's a company. Unless you are super high up and you know what's going on, and you have a contingency plan, so to speak, don't trust that stuff. You can't trust that stuff. And I know you might feel safe in the moment, but the gaming industry in general is just very finicky when it comes to when you're done with an IP or a project that you stay on. And if you do, you still don't know day to day what they're going to do. The industry is so up and down all the time. So that's the unfortunate part. And just a little word of advice outside of this is for anybody out there working, for any company or corporation, remember to take your mental health days, take your PTO, take your sick days, take your extended leave if it calls for it. Don't overexert yourself because you are replaceable at the drop of a hat. Take care of yourself first, and that company second. Not to say that don't do your job, don't do it exceptionally well, but just to take care of yourself as well. A lot of folks, including, and I'm one of those folks as well, and I've been trying to learn, take that time for yourself. Take those days. You earned them. They're there for a reason. Take them. And if a company tries to make you feel guilty for doing that, maybe you should look elsewhere that would value you a little bit more as an individual. So just kind of keep that in mind. Just a quick PSA for y'all. But that being said as well, and like I said, speaking of, I get individuals such as Gaz here who gets upset that I call him out for using this stuff for console war and then tries to act like it wasn't console wars. Then hours later posts this, as you can see, and then wants to bring up my comparison of trying to console war when I brought up the Sting concert for the layoffs, because that was ridiculous. It's not the console war. If Sony did that too, if Sony hired Phil Collins to do some sort of serenade and everything for all the execs, then okay. I would call that out as well. This isn't hindered or hindsight. This is what it is. You can whine and complain all you want. You can get upset that I call you out, but I'm going to be straight up. There's one thing I will not do to any of you out there, and that is lie to you. That is not to dishevel information. This is not to spread misinformation. I will call it down the middle. And again, when all is said and done, no layoff is good. No layoff is fun. It's not for console warring. It's not for anything, because these are individuals' lives that have been affected. They have family. They have themselves to take care of. They have all sorts of things and stress and where to find it, the next job and the next piece of income. Yes, they probably got some sort of severance. We don't know what that looks like. We don't know how long that'll last. There's a lot to it, and it just doesn't make you feel good. It messes with your psyche, all sorts of stuff. I understand. I've been laid off before when they had to cut costs at a job. I mean, it sucks. It comes out of nowhere. You're busting your butt. Halfway through the day, you get called in. On over to the office. Hey, unfortunately, we've had to make some tough decisions, and on and on and on. It happens. It sucks. So this isn't fun for anybody involved, but just kind of wanted to share that. Now, that being said as well, we just got word that unfortunately, the studio behind and Life is Strange and all the sequels and everything under that umbrella have also laid off a good chunk of their staff. Also, Bumble just recently announced they laid off 350 employees. That's as of today. So a lot of the tech side of the industry is also being affected. Now, that's the unfortunate side. It's not just PlayStation. It's not just Microsoft. It's not just anybody else. The only ones holding true right now, if we're talking about gaming, is Nintendo. Whatever they're doing, because their VR is being put together by cardboard pieces, that might save them a lot of cost. Who knows? But that being said, is like it's an industry-wide thing, and it's a technology industry-wide thing for the most part. And if some company is able to bypass that, great job. They know how to work those analytics and how to work that algorithm, and they understand how to work their finances maybe a little bit better than other companies that maybe took more of a gamble in the direction they wanted to take their company, perhaps. So there's a lot of A, B's, and C's behind this, right? But ultimately, it's an unfortunate day to hear about it. I know I wanted to do another Salt video, have some fun, but I did want to put this out there. I do want to be a man on my word and let everybody know that I will call it down the middle. It doesn't matter what side, what preferred side you're on and all that stuff as well. Just want to make that a very abundantly and apparently clear for everyone out there. I just want to be honest with you. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for listening to this video. We'll be back to more Salt content sooner than later. I promise you that. So thank you again for all your support. At this point in time of recording, we are at 1,355 subscribers out of that 1,500 goal. So we're so close. You guys are amazing. Thank you all for the support. Thank you all for watching the other videos outside of the Salt content as well. I like to spread that information, give information and news as well. So thank you very, very much. That being said, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, helping out the algorithm so much. If you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, and we will see you all next time on the next Xvault gaming video. And until then, take care.